Hello everybody, this is Bird Brain. We're here, we are nerdy for the birdies. Today we're going to do our final mock draft. And for our fourth one, we're going to do one that's a little more predictive. We've done trades, we've done what I would do, we've done no trades. And what I mean by predictive is we're going to get in the mind of Howie Roseman and draft the way I expect him to draft. So, all the players that I'm allowed to take in this class are guys that the Eagles have met with in any capacity. I have a list here from Anthony DeBona from Philly Sports Network. Great guy, writes great articles. Just a great guy to follow on Twitter. I recommend following him. So, obviously, these visits include any form of a top 30 visit, formal meetings at the Combine, just a meeting at the Combine in general, meeting at one of the All-Star games, which would be like the Shrine Bowl or the Senior Bowl, private workout, virtual meetings, or just any sort of meeting that just wasn't specified. That's where all these players have talked to. So we know more about the 30 visits with players, throughout this process are constantly meeting with scouts, with Howie, other people. So these are guys that they have talked to in any capacity. So with that, we're going to get into this mock draft. Trades are obviously going to be allowed, so let's get into it. Have it set for normal speed so we can be able to do trades. As always, since I'm going to be doing trades, we're going to stop the clock at around pick 20 to kind of evaluate the board. Here we go. So looking at the board here, in terms of players that the Eagles have met with, Malachi Starks is here, Walter Nolan is here, Donovan Ezaraku is here, Josh Connerly is here, Maxwell Hairston. So I'm going to just kind of let the board fall a little bit more because there's a lot of guys that I would be perfectly okay with the Eagles taking at 32. So we're just going to let the board go down. Alright, we're going to pause it here, see if things have changed. So Starks is still here. Donovan Ezaraku is still here. Donovan Jackson is here. Nick Scorton. So let's just take it all the way down to 32. Malachi Starks goes to the Chiefs, one pick before us. So we do have trades, so we can trade back and pick up an additional 4th round pick. I think this is a little unrealistic, so I'm not going to do this deal. Patriots, I think that's also unrealistic. I think this is the most realistic deal we could get if I do decide to trade back. We'll look here. The Eagles have not talked to, according to this list, either of these prospects. So I would not take Donovan Jackson or Nick Scorton at 32, so I definitely think a trade back is in order. So, and I know people are going to say, like, oh, you let Malachi Starks fall, you let Walter Nolan go. And my honest opinion about it is that with these players, in this class, if I'm the Eagles, I don't need to really reach here. This is not really a class where guys are really going to want to trade back or trade up a lot, and I don't really want to give up capital for guys that I have fairly similar opinions on player to player. So I think we're going to go back to the offers here. I like the Jets offer. I think it's the most realistic. This is not realistic. I would do this trade straight up for the Patriots, but to move back 6 spots and get this many picks is just not what's going to happen. The Bills as well, so we're going to reject the Bills trade. We are going to accept the Jets trade. So we're going to trade back 10 spots and pick up a 4th round pick and a future 6. So we can use that pick for trades. Okay. So here we are at pick 42. Donovan Jackson and Nick Scorton are on the board. Tyleik Williams is someone that they also have talked to. I think for me, it's going to be either Scorton or Jackson. And it's going to come down to... See, Donovan Jackson, he played on the left side, and they do have a lot of left guards already. However, they would not have talked to him if they... And I think he was also a top 30 visit, if I'm not mistaken. Let's see... Yes, he was. I don't think they would have done this much work on him just to take him as a left guard, so I definitely think they would consider him. Nick Scorton, they could go pass rusher here. Ooh, this is tough. It's between the two of them, because I feel kind of about the same. Does it make more sense just to get the guard now, and then just wait to grab other players later in this class? because I think guard is fine. Like, we can pass on it. Edge, we're going to go with Nick Scorton, I think. I almost took him, I think, last week, and I wasn't able to, so let's get him here. Donovan Jackson's really, really good. He does have tackle versatility, as we saw this year for Ohio State. It's really, really close, but I think I'm going to go with Scorton. So we're going to let the board here. I don't think I'm going to trade up here. We'll see. Could have maybe traded up to grab Donovan Jackson as well, but I think that would have been doing a little too much. Here we are. So we could trade. No, that's not realistic. They're not going to give up 2 third-round picks and a 4th to move up 2 spots. I'm not. This is a dumb one. I wouldn't do that, and we're not going to do that. We're going to drip those trade offers. So here we go. Here, looking at guys. So we did pass on interior O-line. Oh man, I cannot say his last name, but Jonah S. from Arizona. That is someone they have talked to. They have talked to Shamar Turner and Marcus Embo. Or I keep saying Embo, but it's just Bo. Thinking about tight end early because Mason Taylor already went. Edge here. Yeah, I'm not really. Oh, we don't need edge. Sorry, we already took it. Yeah. I think at this point, I think the obvious player to take, just based purely on the value, would be Jonah S. I just can't say the name. So, I apologize for that, but we're going to take Jonah S. here. Wonder, do we consider trading up at the 3rd round? Let's take a pause here. Is there anybody we really want to target? So, we've grabbed, 2 players here. We got an edge rusher. We got an offensive lineman. Just looking at the list here, we could go defensive tackle. Shamar Turner is someone they've talked to, but I feel like we could wait on that. Just looking at the board. Yeah, I think we're going to wait on that. I don't know. I don't see anybody here really with a pressing, the Eagles need to grab him. I would take Darian Porter, the corner, and trade up for him, but they do not have him as someone they've met with, so we'll have to pass on that. So, we'll let the draft board keep falling. I think we'll just take and pick at 96 and see what we can get. But we address trenches. I think that's pretty realistic for what Howie tends to do. So here we are at 96. I don't really want another 5th round pick. We could go. Let's see. We could go Josh Farmer here. I think they've met with him, right? No. Apologies. I thought they did for a second. They didn't, so can't take him. See, that's the difficulty here. Teams have their boards. Jacob Parrish is here. Now, I personally think Jacob Parrish is more of a slot corner than an outside corner, but I do think he can play outside. I'm just not a huge fan of slightly smaller corners playing outside, but he's not that undersized or anything. I think he's 5'10", and I also believe, yes, they have met with him. He was a top 30 visit. I think it's Jacob Parrish here. We could go tight end and take Gunnar Helm. We might not have to do that, though. So, let's go wherever. Let's see, go to corner. Let's take Jacob Parrish here. So we have a corner now, and we move on to the 4th round. Apologies for the wait. Just had to double check. So we could trade back and pick up a 6th round pick and a 7th. Is there anybody here right now a pressing need? And this is always what Howie's doing. We could just take Gunnar Helm right here and solve our tight end problem right now. Because the board does thin out quite a bit. Is Gunnar Helm worth, though, having an additional pick? I mean, we have a lot of 5th round picks that we're probably going to trade back anyway, so my guess is let's just take Helm here. He was not a top 30 visit as far as we know, but he was someone I believe the Eagles met with. Just double checking again. So he was a formal meeting at the Combine. I believe the Eagles met with a lot of the tight ends at the Combine with Brad Selleck, so we're going to take Gunnar Helm here. Yep, he was on the list, so all good. So we will get our pick here later on in the 4th round. So we've targeted edge. We could go defensive tackle. So we could trade back, pick up an additional 5th. I don't really want to. We could do this trade, just move back 2 spots. This one's probably the most likely one. This one gives us a 5th and a 7th. I think I'll take this is probably the better deal. I don't think this is realistic. I don't think you're giving up a 5th round pick and a 7th round pick to move up 1 spot in the 4th. But let's look at the board here. We don't really need edge. These are the things you got to think about. Now, if I did miss someone that the Eagles didn't take, or did talk to that I didn't see, the list probably hasn't been updated fully yet, but it's okay. I mean, I'm not really in love with anyone right this second that I feel like we have to take. Because I feel like... Oh, I'm looking at D-line. I wanted to look at all. I was like... Here we go. Yeah, I mean, looking at this spot... Ooh, let me try safety real quick. Okay, we could go Malachi Moore again. Let's take the Ravens offer. Here we go. I'm not doing that deal. We could take Malachi Moore here. You know, I just talked about him in my safety video. And here, other prospects. I would double down on edge and take David Walker here as well, if we had not taken Nick Scorton, but I think that'd be a little much. I think we'll go more. Grab a safety here. Alright, and then we're going to get down to the 5th round, which I expect we're probably going to get some trade offers, hopefully, and maybe try to trade some of those picks away. Let's see. I mean, I don't believe this is a realistic deal, just because I don't think you'd give up. I mean, we're trading back into the 6th, but we're getting like a 4th and a 5th. I mean, I would enjoy nothing more than robbing Dallas blind, but let me look at the board just to make sure there's no one here that I want to take anyway. Could take Jaden Blue straight up. I think we'll take Jaden Blue. Get a nice running back to kind of fill in that Gainwell role for us. Let's get Jaden Blue. The Bills will give us a future 4th and 5th. I think this is somewhat realistic. If I want to just completely trade out of those picks. Or we can trade back and pick up a later on picks. There's a player I'm checking. Okay, so they have him at edge. That's what I was looking for. Because I think he's more interior. Let's see. Let me look back at these offers. I think I might take the Jags offer, just to not pick a bunch of times in the 5th round. Okay. I'm not going to trade all of our 5th round picks. It's how linebacker is looking, because we could do that here. We could also address defensive tackle in general. We could take Cam Jackson. It's a little early for Jackson, so I might wait. How does linebacker look? Kobe King is someone they just recently, I believe, had in for a 30 visit. or at least did some sort of meeting with him. Double check that. Thinking. Yep, they did meet with Kobe King. I would say, let's take Kobe King here. Get ourselves a linebacker. So now we'll have 168. I don't think I'm really going to trade many more picks, because we still have 4 picks to make. David Walker still being on the board is so intriguing. And he's a little bit of an older prospect, but I just think about the opportunity. I know we did take Nick Scorton, but, you know, we do have to fill that room. My guess is Bryce Huff's going to get traded, so we'll see what happens. I mean, 2 edge rushers wouldn't be bad. You just have a really loaded room. We could still go defensive tackle here. I think we're going to have to be smart and take defensive tackle. I think we're going to take Cam Jackson here from Florida, which is someone that was on their list. I think we can go with Cam Jackson. It's a tough decision here. Tonka Hemingway is another one we could go with, but I think we're going to go with Cam Jackson. Let's just get him on the squad. Okay. Let's try to wrap up this draft class, though. Alright, we are at pick 194, so we have drafted edge, interior O-line, corner, tight end, safety, running back, linebacker, defensive line. The player I want to target here, and I'm curious to see if he's still on the board. It's early, but do I risk letting him fall much further? And that's Tyrion, I think it's Tyrion, Ingram Dawkins. Another Georgia Bulldog. Someone who has inside-out versatility. Man, do we just take him here and call it a day? Like, it's early, but at this point, you know, guys, the grades will vary, and it's like, you go after the guys you want. I'll just look at the board again just to see. Maybe, do we double down on offensive line and just look for even more here? Because we didn't take a tackle, we took a guard. Let's look at the offensive tackles. Jalen Travis is still here. And that was a top 30. I think we got to go Jalen Travis. Let's take him here. Grab a tackle for depth. And we'll see if he makes it to 212, which he should. Yep, he's here. And we're not going to take that trade. We're going to take Ingram Dawkins from Georgia. And I think with my last pick, we're going to go wide receiver. Jalen Lane is someone that they've talked to. You have Antoine Wells from Ole Miss. Just looking here at the opportunities. I mean, a lot of these guys are undrafted players, but at this point in the draft, if there's someone, even if you know that they're going to be a UDFA, and you're like, I do not want to let them leave. I don't want them to make it to free agency in terms of UDFAs. So Jalen Lane is one of those more gadgety type of receivers, and he would basically be competition for someone like an Ananias Smith. Antoine Wells, a little bit different type of receiver. Antoine. Let's go with Jalen Lane, higher graded prospect. Let's go with him. Fill out our class. So that will be a predictive Eagles mock. So, oh, what? Did I click the wrong player? I definitely meant to hit Jalen Travis. Alright. I know that is a mistake. I don't know what happened here. I'm pretty sure I hit Jalen Travis unless I just misclicked and didn't realize. Just pretend that says Jalen Travis. Alright, I'll just edit over it or something. That is supposed to be Jalen Travis. I guess I just misclicked without realizing. But yeah, so our full class is Nick Scorton, Jonah S., Jacob Parrish, Gunnar Helm, Malachi Moore, Jaden Blue, Kobe King, Cam Jackson, Jalen Travis, and then Ingram Dawkins, and then Jalen Lane. A pretty solid overall class. You just, you grabbed a few trench players, which is something you expect Howie Roseman to do. You do address a few needs. You grab your tight end. I expect the Eagles will probably trade Goddard during the draft and try to move on from Bryce Huff as well. But I think this is a good group. So with that, this is Bird Brain. Hope you guys enjoyed being nerdy for the birdies. Fly Eagles fly. See you around.